They are hanging on in this title race.
9 goals in the league, 4 against Hearts, 4 against Celtic, and then obviously the one against Kilmarnock.
I mean, bring back Kevin Tellwell.
That's fear from Motherwell.
Well, that's
fear.
I've been saying Hearts for a long time now. You change your mind every other day.
Yeah.
100%. I think everybody will drop points.
Yeah. Big man, another dramatic weekend in the Scottish Premiership, but our sidekick has left us again. Are we looking at another hotel? Scotland must...
Yeah.
They must be in the final by now, the amount of times he's been out there mapping out this.
Yeah. What I find amazing is they must have like a certain sort of budget, and Stephen Naismith's blowing it on hotels.
Well, flights to go and check hotels.
It's incredible.
Because rumour has it it's got to be first class as well. There's no economy for him.
But how many hotels do you need to check? You just get one, come back, and that's it. It's gone twice.
I'm not too sure. But also, I remember last month on the Ranked, he had a lot to say about a certain person that we brought in this month. James McFadden has joined us this month. You must have been disappointed with that Ranked last month with Nazy going against you as well.
He's just jealous, isn't he?
I agree, mate. I agree.
I think he's away getting his air miles. He's just at the threshold, isn't he? Yeah. He just needs to get up.
He just needs to top it the other thing. He's going to move on to bronze shortly. But Faddy, delighted to see you. What did you make of the weekend's fixtures? We were at Ibrox. Unbelievable game.
It was. It's. I think Scottish football over the last few months certainly, but the big games, I think they've lived up to expectation. You're expecting, there'd be drama, excitement. I think there was plenty of that.
Yep.
Two teams that probably can't string a full performance together, and none more so evident than yesterday. But great drama and great for the mighty well and Hearts at the top of the table.
Man, what did you make it?
It's been an incredible season. And yesterday, I think, summed it up. Rangers so dominant in the first half, and look, there's no doubt. Martin O'Neill, the changes he made at half time, was that an admission that he got things wrong in the first half? I think so, but I've also got sympathy for him because when you look, we all talked about Hatate after the game. When you look at Hatate's performances this season, they've been so poor. He's looked so disinterested. He's looked like he's sulking. And then he comes and, I've sort of banged the drum for him for years, Hatate, and always talked him up. He's been a sensational player. But this season, for whatever reason, I don't know whether he's down tools or whatever, but yesterday, he changed the game. And that's a massive positive for Celtic in terms of they are hanging on in this title race. And getting a point, was a point enough? Probably not, but they're still in scrapping. But no, I thought his performance was immense. And Tanetki is a strange one as well. I always think that he's sort of better off the bench.
Yeah.
And I thought he made a big impact. Rangers had issues down their right hand side. Celtic left in that second half because of those additions for Celtic at half time, and they changed the game. With Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I mean, I talked to you before the game about Celtic's midfield. You've got to have legs.
Yeah.
And Negrin is like he's an enigma, isn't he? He's the strangest player in Scottish football, really, because you look at his goals record and it's amazing.
But even the ball yesterday for Kieran Taylor as well. He sees things.
Yeah, he does. But he has this tremendous instinct for goals. But actually, what you want him for in that midfield is to control games. And I don't think he's got the legs. I don't know what his best position is. I think that's been levelled at him throughout his career. And then Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Martin's thrown him in, bit of leadership to try and bring that quality, but you've got to be able to run. And the game passed him by, second ball. Celtic got absolutely mullered in the first half. But I think it's an interesting one. Another player who's come up from down south, and I'm not saying that his sort of thought process was like it, but another player who's come up from down south and sort of found out that
it's not easy.
That it's absolutely not easy. He didn't get the pace of the game, but that's what sort of Martin has had to deal with since he's come in. January, you look at the signings who've come in on loan, and then Oxlade-Chamberlain came in after the window. Training with Arsenal, and he's brought him in and wants to lift the dressing room. That's what he's got to work with. And it's sort of desperation from Celtic in many ways that he's had to do that. But in the end, it's a good point for Celtic. And I mean, from a Rangers point of view, it would have felt like a defeat.
No, I agree. I mean, I think when you look at the first half performance as well, it was so comfortable. Yeah. There was only going to be one outcome, and that was Rangers were going to win the game comfortably. It was 2-0 at half time, and you think if Rangers come out, start the second half on the front foot, can you go and get 3-4?
Had the chance. Romans had the chance.
Romans had the chance.
Which
at the back post,
big chance, wasn't it? Just after half time.
And even the Fernandes header as well. I think it was yourself that touched it. There was no, and I think this is he's guilty of this, even defending as well. Because of his height, he thinks, I'm just going to get a head on it anyway. There was no aggression on it. I mean, it was, I'm just going to let it hit off me and it'll go in. Whereas if he really went and attacked it, I thought it was an opportunity, a goal there as well. I said it after the game yesterday, I think Rangers' lack of, and I'm not labelling this directly at the strikers, I think that the lack of killing teams off, that killer instinct, is starting to come back to bite them. You look at how dominant they were the first half. The chances against Livingston as well didn't take that one. You go back to the Motherwell game, Chermiti obviously missed the chance there. But there's been opportunities for Rangers where you think, go and kill the game. And I know the Kilmarnock game as well, it finishes 5-1. You look at the bigger picture. Dundee, I think maybe a couple of weeks before that, was 3-0. It was 2 goals in 90 minutes that evening as well. Kilmarnock were in the game, even with 10 men. So I just look at Rangers, and Danny Rohl has came in and he's been outstanding what he's been able to turn this group around it, but that lack of killer instinct, I think, is going to come back to haunt Rangers.
It's been a case of do just enough to win.
Yeah.
And that's not been enough of late. It was great in the run of form where they managed to win games and people were, impressed with the consistency of results. But you're watching them and thinking, right, the start of the game and the first half performance was like nothing we've seen for Rangers this season. Real energy, quality. They suffocated Celtic, as you said. They absolutely battered them in the first half. Second half, it's a drop. I don't know if it seems to be a backward step of, right, I think we've done enough here. We'll just try and coast towards the end of the game, and if they get another goal, we'll just keep defending rather than go and get a third and getting a fourth. And because at times in the first half, you're thinking, this could be like a high score.
I think once the intensity drops out, the attack, and I don't mean just the strikers, I think even the wide players as well, when they can get after the opposition and stop them at source. Celtic were able to start building through the back scales, and Dane Murray were able to get on the ball, get into Hatate, then they were able to play. Celtic tried to, a lot of the long balls the first half. The second half it wasn't so much, but the second half, Rangers, because they were 10, maybe 5, 10, 15 yards, whatever it would have been, deeper, Celtic were able to start playing, and all of a sudden it was closer to Rangers' goal. Mikey Moore was picking the ball up.
In the first half, forwards, I know you're right, but like Romans wasn't getting as far forward. There wasn't as much energy throughout the team, and I know the striker, then it becomes a problem for the strikers. But if they kind of get pressed because the team who's behind them is not getting up, and you're not playing it forward, it's like, I'll take an extra touch and I'll play a nice safe one, somebody else can play it. With the start of the game, it was forward, bang, energy, running. They were bullying Celtic in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, the question about Rangers, always comes up is about, the mentality. And I think Danny Rohl after the game, he said there's not a problem with their mentality. What would worry me if I was a Rangers fan is the stuff Danny Rohl, I think you talked about it, what he got involved in the week with Luke McCowan. I first of all, I don't agree with anything McCowan says. I mean, who cares? You come out and say we're the best team. In Scotland, we're going to. Who cares about the "We Are the Best Team" Cup? It's about the end of the season, who actually wins the league. But then, what worries me is why is Danny Rohl even getting involved in that?
I think sometimes as a manager, you can try and deflect away from your team, but we both know, the three of us know, what way this ends up in Glasgow. Everything will get twisted, everything will get turned, and all of a sudden it becomes a headline. There was no need.
No,
there was no need for me. And by even the whole, when you start speaking about, who Celtic are going to play in nets and everything, you're like, it's got absolutely nothing to do with you. And it would always come back and bite you if you didn't get the result. I mean, at half time, he's probably thinking, it's game over. I can do whatever I want here. And all of a sudden, at the end of the match, Danny Rohl's then moaning about incidents. It's a penalty kick. It is a penalty kick. But I want to speak about, that first half. There's been plenty of enigmas in Scottish football, but Joseph Chermiti, the 2 goals were outstanding.
He just seems to be a big game player.
9 goals this season, 9 goals in the league, 4 against Hearts, 4 against Celtic, and then obviously the one against Kilmarnock. But, the 2 of them yesterday were incredible.
I mean, bring back Kevin Thelwell, really.
What a job. What a job.
Well,
He's landed a new one. He's landed a new one, friend. The English FA, isn't it?
Oh, is it? They won't be able to sign Chermiti though.
So he's going up in the world, isn't he? I mean, arguably, people will talk about brilliant goals in the, in the Celtic Rangers games. Mine would be up there, of course, at brilliant chip, the green and whitewash season. That would, Larsson's won the chip in the 6-2. This is going to sound ridiculous. As brilliant as the first goal was, and I get it, I loved his second one.
No,
I absolutely loved his second one because his touch to get it round Araujo. I mean, Araujo should have dealt with it, and you can argue that he probably should have headed it in the end. But the touch was so good to set up the finish. But then Sinisalo comes, and I thought Sinisalo was good again yesterday. You barely noticed him, which is a good thing. But then the finish, I mean, I thought that was really special. But just because there's an overhead kick, the nature of it, I mean, it was.
It's weird because you speak about him being an enigma. If he doesn't score the first goal, probably doesn't score the second goal.
Yeah.
But that's in game. He can't seem to take that forward into the next game. Like he should be feeling amazing. Yeah. Going into every game, saying, look what I can do.
Have you played with someone like that over the years?
I was like that myself. So I know exactly.
So what is? So you're saying you like that yourself. So is he a young guy, isn't he? So is that his mindset? I mean, what?
I probably wasn't as hot and cold, but I could be hot and cold. I think I don't know. I don't know if it's the setup. It seems to be that the 4-2-2-2 suits him because you're not getting out and out wide men. I know the fullbacks are becoming the crossers and being creative. You've got another strike partner beside you. You know how much better that is. I don't know if it's less pressure then because it's not about holding it up. It's not about doing everything, pressing, running the channels, bring your teammates into play and scoring the goals. Nadiri does a lot of the running. I know Chermiti still does the running, but Nadiri was doing a lot of the running, a lot of the dropping deep. It allowed Chermiti to be more focused on probably being in the right areas. But even some of his chances he's missed throughout the season, you're thinking, I mean, how can you score an overhead kick like that yesterday and the second goal and miss chances from 6 yards out with
I think the Motherwell springs to mind, the Livingston chance as well. But
I didn't think the Motherwell. I know you're saying, and you could finish, but I didn't think the Motherwell was a disastrous miss. I don't think it was that bad. He took his shot on early, didn't he?
Yeah.
And in many ways, having played as a striker myself, that's not the worst tactic. As a goalkeeper can't get set, he just hit it down the keeper's throat at Motherwell. I think naturally we sort of put scrutiny on him because everybody in Scotland because of the price tag, but over the piece, the criticism of him, but he has scored massive goals for Rangers this season. Massive goals.
He's not played a lot of football.
No, although throughout his career,
early 20s, he's not played a lot of games. So you're going to have to. It's because of the price tag. You're going to have to accept that it won't be good enough.
You obviously went, moved for big money. Like, do you feel that? Do you? Is it just as you said? You struggled at Chelsea. There's no getting.
Yeah,
but then all of a sudden
that was later on. I mean,
but what I'm saying is, like, do you then do you change as a person? And because everybody's speaking about the price tag, you're still the same player. It's not your fault someone spent that amount of money for you.
Just blamed everybody else, really, the lack of service.
You should have signed Shearer as well, shouldn't you? He'd have been all right.
But
Stuart Ripley.
That's right. But I think the point about his age.
Does it play in your mind?
How old is he? 21?
21, yeah.
21. So I think the point James makes about the lack of game time, which is really relevant. I mean, with respect, I mean, I got into Norwich's first team when I was 18, and I'd played over 100 and whatever games for Norwich when I moved to Blackburn. So I'd had, and that was at the top level. He's just come into Rangers. The pressure's on at the start. He hasn't really, played football regularly at a high level. So all things being equal, if he came in for a free, we'd probably be saying he's one of the best signings Scottish football's ever had. It's just the price tag, which is unfair on him. And even we're sort of nitpicking in many ways because. We're focusing on a guy who scored one of the best goals in a Celtic Rangers game there's ever been. And in the second half, because Rangers didn't get the job done, we're sort of, looking at sort of fine details and think, and bringing Chermiti's name up with that. But then you know what it's like as a striker. You're reliant on service.
Yeah, 100%.
And the way Rangers set up with Dujon Sterling as a right back, he's not there as an attacking right back, as a James Tavernier. He's there as a nullifier.
Yeah.
And then Robbins, who was unbelievable, and he looks a really good piece of business. Unbelievable in the first half. He's an intelligent player, can play on the inside, outside. He went missing in the second half.
Yeah, but I thought Rangers became slack,
and they couldn't
sloppy as well.
But why are we focusing on the striker in that situation?
Really?
Really?
I think we're speaking about him as a whole in terms of those 2 goals. And the enigma would be, you look at his return so far. I mean, it's 4 against Hearts, it's 4 against Celtic. Usually, if you look at it, you're saying, well, you should be doing it against the rest. That's the big thing for me looking at it. That the amount of chances you go back to. I mean, what did Rangers have? 30 odd attempts in goal at Livingston, something like that. It was high numbers. Yeah, I can only really remember one. I mean, I don't know if it's just different.
But then is it not? Others need to chip in then.
Yeah, I think so. I think the price tag is the big point here.
Yeah, but that's
a development player.
So in terms of the price tag, when other people are speaking about the price tag and you feel as if, right, I'm in there, I'm doing my work, I'm scoring goals, like, why?
There's 2 things that happen, right? The expectation of the fans goes through the roof because it's £8 million, which is a lot of money for any player in Scotland to come into a club. And your expectation is you're buying the complete player for £8 million, which you would expect. Yeah. But he's a development player. And he needs to play. He needs to play badly, and he needs to play again to get better. And he needs to work in training. So the other side, is he's been signed from Everton for 50 million, to Everton for 15 million. He's been signed to Rangers for 8 million. He might think, I'm a great player. I can play in the big games. This game's potentially going to be easy, which again is part of development. So there is a lot. It's not as simple as, right, you're paying an £8 million player and he's ready. He is a development player. As much as that sounds crazy in Scottish football to say development, but you know yourself, you played for Rangers as a striker, your sole purpose in your mind is to score.
Yeah.
I need to score, and if I don't score, I'm not happy and I'm not doing my job, and it's all you focused on. He needs to score, he needs to lead the line, he needs to hold it up, he needs to be quick, he needs to be aggressive. I
think the point you make is relevant regarding having a partner there now as well, because it's half in his shift, and it's giving him something else to work off of. There's players in contact with him. Yes, there might not be as many balls in terms of the cutback that a lot of strikers would like, because Rangers are crossing the ball from deeper with the way they're playing now. But he is, and I thought yesterday led the line, really, really well up until the only question I would maybe, when you look at the decisions that Danny Rohl made. He took Nadiri off.
Yep.
And I thought he was still okay in the game. He was the one that you would say he can still, there's still a lot of work left in him. There's still a shift left in him. He took Nadiri off and left Chermiti on. Maybe, obviously, he's on the hat trick, and I know it's hindsight. Maybe could he have done it the other way around? I thought Chermiti had done I thought he was done. He was finished. He looked as if he was starting to tire. And Rangers just started to drop further and further back. But, I mean, the defending as well wasn't good enough from Rangers. I think when you look at, Sutter and Fernandes, Sutter at Livingston a couple of weeks ago as well, the 2 free kicks. I know you can then look and say, well, they've got to defend the areas better. But I thought yesterday the defending wasn't great all over the place. People need to identify when the ball goes wide. Nico Raskin at the back post, get yourself in. Fernandes going back to just letting it hit off him because I think he's so tall, he thinks, I'm just going to clear it anyway, or I'll get there. He didn't. Kieran Tierney sneaks in. The second one, good movement from Maeda, but none of the 2 centre-backs react to Maeda taking him short then coming back in. And all of a sudden, the header then from Daizen Maeda, it's a penalty kick. It is a penalty, yeah.
Can I just take you back to, I think it's easy to say in hindsight that, he could have taken Chermiti off rather than Nadiri. But imagine the reaction from the Rangers fans. I don't think you can criticise Danny Rohl for that. In terms of just going back to, you made the point about, young player and that sort of, the move to Rangers. The money, because of the money paid, that equates, Rangers fans naturally think, not just Rangers fans, all football fans think that should equate to goals immediately. From my own sort of perspective, when I was at Norwich, the difference was when I was at Norwich, with respect to Norwich, good Norwich team, there was no pressure on Norwich. There was no expectation when we played Liverpool, when we played Manchester United, when we played Tottenham, when we played Arsenal, when we knocked Bayern Munich out of the UEFA Cup. Nobody expected us to do that. And for myself as a young player, I knew my reputation was growing. I mean, I used to buy the newspapers every day and see my name on the back. And I had a massive head. Honestly, my head was absolutely massive. Okay, and I never had criticism. I didn't get criticism because I was, a young up and coming player at a club which wasn't expected to do well. As soon as I moved to Blackburn, I know where Blackburn are now, but they were the club spending money at that particular time. As soon as I moved to Blackburn for £5 million, which was a British record transfer at that particular time, before I kicked the ball,
doing some job of pumping your own tyres up here, aren't you?
Before I kicked the ball, I got criticism. So you go from at Norwich, where everything unbelievable. This is unbelievable. What a great player I am. And all of a sudden, before I kicked the ball, because of the price tag, people have really started to question me. Mm-hmm. And then did it impact me? I think it did a little bit. And then
why?
And then, because I probably didn't sort of necessarily have the I don't know whether guidance is the right word. I was 20 years old when I moved to Blackburn. You think about it, I wasn't part of any sort of any system in at Norwich. All of a sudden, the rise is really quick. And I didn't think about it, but nobody likes criticism. No. Whether I know as we're older, what we know now. If we'd have known that at the start of my career, that would have been sort of handy. But then when you have sort of people questioning you, then maybe it did sort of play on my mind a little bit, because I was thinking, well, why? That's unfair. I've had all the praise at Norwich. My head was massive. Moved to Blackburn, and then you think, blimey, the pressure's on. But because I scored early at Blackburn, the sort of pressure was off. I was part of the good team. We ended up winning the Premier League. But then, when I went to Chelsea, it was a bit different. I was older, a little bit wiser. Things didn't work out, but because of the price tag and the goals thing, which we talk about often, that relates. So people, think you're a dud. I was a laughingstock at Chelsea. That's what I was, and I accept that, because you're brought in to score goals. But I do think it's particularly harsh on Chermiti for the point that James made. He is a development player, and that is the market that Celtic and Rangers are in now. So in many ways, it's, while we're all panning him because Rangers were hopeless at the start of the season, for him to score the quality of goals in big games, which he has done, I think all things taken into account, he's had a phenomenal season. If I'm a Rangers player, I am loving what I'm seeing.
But I also think as well, it's in context of where we're speaking about individuals, but I also think it's in context of where your team is at that moment in time as well. Yeah. If you're winning and you can afford to carry people, whereas we know what it's like up here, Rangers, Celtic, they demand you win. If you're not winning, you start looking at other things. You start, well, if that's better, then that would lead us to potentially winning something. If that was better, then there's something else can help us to leading winning something. But I think as well, it's what you speak about there is, yes, it would be radio, TV, but even the criticism's everywhere now. Yeah. Because everybody's on social media, and I know players can choose not to go on it, but they are, because there's that much going on off the field now as well, in terms of their own brand, and they'll feel as if I need to be part of social media. But I do feel as if it is harder now, for players to just focus on football and carry on, like to be successful on that road of, I'm just going to concentrate on my football.
Why is it harder now?
Because I think there's that much in terms of social media. I think
just don't go on it.
But they do. I agree with you.
But they have a choice,
and that's what I'm saying. For me, I was never on it. I never bought into it. But I think nowadays players are on it. We heard Virgil van Dijk speaking about it the other day as well. I can't when he spoke about you're the youngsters coming through. You've got to protect them. You've got to look after it. I wasn't buying that, because I think he was really speaking about himself, because he's been criticised this year, similar to what you're saying. His career's been like that, and nobody's criticised him. Now there's been a few this season having a go at him, and I kind of felt as if the way he was speaking, it was like deflecting towards the youngsters. We've got a role and responsibility. But I thought he was too. But I think players nowadays, And they'll all say, and even managers, I never read the media, I never read this.
Yeah.
They read everything.
Yeah.
They know everything that's going on. They're fully aware. And again, for me, looking at it, my own experiences, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't get involved.
I think there's more likely, or it's easier to create a pile-on, because there might be one person that's at the game that says, I watched him, he was hopeless.
Yeah.
And then you maybe get another couple that agree, and before you know it, you're actually people aren't forming their own opinion, they're just following what somebody else has said. And it can be the other way, and they can be over the top with praising somebody else, and they go, he's a great player, and you go, really, what the great at, or what was he bad at?
Well,
and they're like, I don't know.
Speaking about £8 million for Chermiti, it was less than 500,000 Claudio Braga was brought for. Another winner at the weekend. Hearts just keep going.
They do. And he's really stepped up. You know, thought Hearts would struggle with it. Lauren Shanklin, I think Kabore came in initially. I know Kabore played, and he looked like he
done well for the goal.
He did, and he looked like he could be effective. But in the longer term, the more Shanklin was out, the less effect he was going to have, and the more that Hearts would miss him. But Claudio Braga has really stepped up. His work rate has always been phenomenal. The understanding's clearly getting better with Kabore. And he's been, an unbelievable signing. He's a player that you watch him, he's got a smile. He never stops running. He's all about the team. He enjoys whether he scores or his teammate scores. He just looks like he'd be a great player to have day to day, definitely on the pitch, because you know that he's there beside you.
What's his best position? How would you? Similar type of player to yourself, because he roams, doesn't he? He doesn't. You wouldn't really nail him down in a certain position.
No, I think that's fair. I think that that's why it's important that you have an understanding with your strike partner, and I think he needs a strike partner.
But he does a shift.
I don't mean so that he can just float wherever. It's exploiting the space that his strike partner leaves. I think you've seen it early with him and Shanklin, where it was maybe Braga would make the move and Shanklin would make sure he was in the opposite position to make sure they're effective as a partnership. You see Kabore going down the wing and crossing it in for him at the weekend. I think just, again, similar, and I'm glad it's coming back, 2 strikers. I think he's that intelligence where he suits the partner. I think he could play up through the middle.
Well, he did the other weekend.
And not in an emergency, but if you need him. But I think he's better with a strike partner where he can go and float. Aye.
Ibrox, he played up himself. I think when you look at, there's been plenty made of Celtic's injury record this season as well. But when you look at Hearts, it's key players they're missing as well. Stuart Finlay added to that last week. Stuart Finlay, Devlin, Beningame was out for a spell. Shanklin's been out for a spell. They just keep going though.
They've got enough depth, haven't they? Finley's been outstanding, but Frankie Kent can.
McCart came out at the weekend, was outstanding as well. So there's been options there for them, as you say. They're a big squad. But
Hearts' biggest problem, I think, or could well be the manager, and I think he's done a phenomenal job. I just think he seems really excitable at this moment in time, and I'm a big fan of Derek McInnes, what he did at Aberdeen. But in recent weeks, the thing at the weekend, what was he doing? Why is he getting involved? Barging into the back of the guy at the Aberdeen. I don't know what he's doing. And the worry I would have about that is if players see their manager so fired up, so pumped up, adrenaline filled, will that sort of, will they start copying that? Will they mirror that? And it's unbelievable the job Derek has done to get Hearts into this position. And I don't know whether they have to play where they don't feel the pressure. And that's when you're always looking for your manager, the players, to just calm them down. But because he's so sort of pumped, never really been in this position before, I think that could be a problem for Hearts.
I think Derek goes into character mode though. I really. I think when
he has to act.
I think there's an act there with him, but at the same time, it's helped him. I think when you go back a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of fans were going on, "Oh look, he's cracking." He was stating facts, but because of the way he is, he's an emotional guy.
I think that was fine.
Totally, I don't agree with what he done on Saturday. I don't agree with that, but it's as if he's just trying to create enemies. I want everybody to be against us. That siege mentality. I mean,
I think he's done that enough. I don't get the point of what he was doing at the weekend. And I think what you want in these moments when you're going into into a title run, yeah, absolutely, you said it. You want your manager to be calm and measured and show the right leadership qualities. But barging into the back of an opposing player was totally unnecessary. He'll say I didn't mean it, but and I'm a big fan of the job which he's done, and what he has done. And we talk about, we always talk about James 10 analytics and what have you. He's the guy who's organised them into a really difficult team to play against, who has the sprinkling of brilliance at the top end of the pitch. 6 points clear at the top, a phenomenal position they're in, but getting involved in what he got involved with at the weekend was an absolute no-no for me, and that's a worry.
I think he would have been straight back into the dressing room and just changed like that again. And that's what I mean. I think Derek can switch like that. I mean, you can see him. I thought when you go back to the Celtic game, when he charges into the dugout, it was a bit like, I'm going to show you, and my players are going to respond to the way I am. We're up for this fight. We ain't going to be bullied. We ain't going to stand and use a coming into the lines down at Tynecastle.
There's always a line, isn't there?
I agree with you. What he done on Saturday, I don't agree with you.
And if players then, going wildly into challenges, and they've had a couple of sendings off, whether they were right or wrong. I don't see those sendings off relating to that. But when you're in a title run, and if the manager is signs of sort of losing his composure, losing his head, it can filter through.
I know you were trying to be the mediator with the Celtic fans and the club, but you now try to get inside Derek McInnes and Hearts' head and try and sway this title.
You can justify behaviour like that and say that that's okay. I'm just
favourites. Are there now favourites?
Just on that, I agree with Chris. I agree with both of you, right? That's
you can't agree with both of us.
I can, because that shouldn't be. You don't want to see that behaviour, barging into players and almost starting fights when you're winning. But I think that when he goes into the dressing room, he'll be the same level as he's been all season. I do think that will be the case, but it's also a reaction to the bubbles burst. Hearts aren't going to do it, and there is a bit of excitement coming. There has to be
favourites.
The only thing is, I mean, me and Faddy's going for Motherwell. He always goes for Motherwell, which I'm not going to rule Motherwell. I've been saying Hearts for a long time now. You change your mind every other day.
Yeah.
100%. Is that you just figuring that out?
Yeah.
But I think
you remember what he's like when the games are actually on.
I've changed my mind 100 times, but I think if we go back to the start, and we can bring up the first podcast that we've done here, I think you would probably say there's all this talk of the Jamestown analytics and everything, but it won't happen here and it'll take time.
I think
that's dated well.
I'll need to watch that first podcast. But I don't think there's a person in Scotland who thought that Hearts would be in this position at this moment in time.
We'll get it up.
Yeah, we should do. But right. I think everybody will drop points.
Yeah,
and that's the big. So Hearts have the advantage. I actually think their run of games is quite good going into the split.
Kelly Levy. Dundee and Motherwell.
But once the split comes, I mean, nothing would surprise me in terms of somebody could lose every game in the split.
Yeah.
That's
what could happen. That's the nature of the league.
Well, somebody could lose every game, and it's not necessarily the team that comes in sixth.
No.
Which normally happens.
The real reason that we sent Stephen Naismith off to America for this week's podcast was to bring Faddy in and give you the platform. Motherwell.
I say it every time. Hearts are favourites. Absolutely. They're 6 points clear. They're in a great position. But I think Motherwell can win the league. I genuinely think they can win the league.
I do.
And based off their form, their form's incredible. They don't concede goals. They score. They control games. They're never chasing. They're never, under pressure. But any team in the league. There'll be times where they struggle to break teams down, but I think the manager makes adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
He changes the team week after week, so you've no fear of burnout or asking players to go again and again. He's managed the squad unbelievably. He's revitalised two players in Paul McGinn and Stephen O'Donnell to levels that when they were at their peak, we're nowhere near those levels.
As a Motherwell fan, the season in terms of the league, outstanding so far. Was there a tinge of disappointment in the selection? I told you a couple of weeks ago, because you felt as a Motherwell fan, you're looking at that saying, what a chance to go and win the Scottish Cup. Surely
there was, but he makes 5 changes, he makes 7 changes, they still win games, and a lot of the focus is on Matty Connolly and goal, and he passes the ball because the manager's asked him. That's why he's in the team, because the manager's asked him. He makes one mistake.
He didn't tell him to pass it to the opposition.
No, he didn't, but he tells him to take risk in his pass, and sometimes that risk is not rewarded. That's never a sending off for me. It's never a sending off.
What one?
Priestman with Lyle Cameron. He's never getting the ball. So he makes one mistake. Apart from that, Motherwell were actually decent. So the changes, I don't really buy into it, but I understand the feeling that the fans were probably thinking, why don't you focus on winning a Scottish Cup? Because it's totally realistic. But I also like the fact that people saying, surely he's not focusing on the league here, thinking, if I...
Well, the reality is, I mean, Celtic and Motherwell, if they play two league games before Rangers and Hearts play again in the league. So, I know, because Motherwell go to Dundee at the weekend, Celtic obviously go to Aberdeen, and then they play each other.
Yeah.
Someone has to give there, granted.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Motherwell won't fear going to Celtic Park now either.
No, I don't think they fear playing anybody. I actually think teams fear playing Motherwell, because everybody's come up against them. And
Faddy, they've lost 3 goals in 17 games.
They've lost 3 games in the league all season. They've lost 3 games.
Yeah.
And I'm turning into the old conspiracy theorist fan, but in the if, buts and maybes, if you look at the games they lost at home to Falkirk, where they go 2-0 up and a decision goes against them. It's happened to every team. I'm not saying because of it, but I'm just the context of the game, which then Falkirk came out and they were brilliant in the second half and deserved to win. Callum Ward takes a risky pass, which again he's been asked to do at Celtic Park. They're 2 each, and they end up losing the game 3-2. They lose at Ibrox, where they should have had a penalty.
That wasn't a penalty.
That
was not a penalty.
At Ibrox?
He hit the deck.
Yep.
He did hit the deck because he kicked his leg.
Yeah, he kicked him. Yeah, I'm agreeing with my mate.
Nah, well, you're agreeing.
Do you
know what that is? That's fear from Motherwell.
Well, that's fear.
That's fear.
That's fear.
Your balls crashed.
No, balls fine. That's fear from the Boffies. No, I shouldn't. Motherwell.
I'll tell you what's fear then. If you're a Motherwell manager, if you're a Motherwell fan, the job he's done.
Nah,
he'll go.
He has to go. He has to, as much as it's it's not nice, and the fear is that he's going to leave. It's inevitable. He has to. The job that he's done is remarkable.
You see him at Celtic side?
Yeah. Could do, yeah. I mean, I wrote in my column a couple of weeks ago, I could see him as Celtic manager. I think you did your column the following week and then said the same thing.
Never mentioned him.
As you normally
Never mentioned him.
As you normally do.
Never mentioned him.
I do. I think what he has achieved at Motherwell, with respect to the Motherwell players, is nothing short of
incredible,
remarkable. For sort of, players who are at a certain level, with respect, that's why they're at Motherwell. For him to coach them in the manner which they have, and for the players to have these patterns in the head and what their next pass is, and have so many different sort of patterns and options, as you say, I think that's astonishing, because, we've all done a Badgers, I think, and everybody sort of, has their philosophy, sort of splitting the centre halves, and we want to play out from the back, and the way you want to build, and everybody will have different patterns. But then to get that message across to the players where they know where the spare man is, I think that is an absolute triumph.
Yeah.
But that's incredible. And these aren't, and with respect, I'm not panning Motherwell players.
Yeah.
But these aren't top. These aren't top players, but they look like top players because of what he has done. Everybody wants to do it, but he's actually gone out there and done it. And you mentioned Celtic playing Motherwell twice. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Motherwell went to Celtic Park and played them off the park. It just wouldn't. And the truth is, it wouldn't surprise anybody in Scotland from what we're seeing.
So do you think they could win every game?
Every game, maybe. a stretch because there'll be some.
But that's amazing.
There'll be a
maybe a stretch. We're talking about Motherwell here.
There'll be a refereeing decision or
Celtic
was just telling you that was the reason.
Celtic go to Aberdeen during the week. How important is it that Celtic
can I just add to the Motherwell one? So Motherwell are now 14-1 to win the league. When I played for Motherwell, we were 17-1 to win one game. One game against Celtic Rangers back in the day. 14-1 to win the league.
So how important now is that game for Celtic? Obviously with Motherwell breathing down the Old Firm's neck, how important is Celtic that trip to Aberdeen?
It's huge.
Wednesday?
It's huge because you're going for a stage yesterday, and you said before the game, whoever loses is out of the title race. You're going for that stage at half-time thinking, right, well, Celtic really struggling here.
Yeah.
It's a long way back to now coming back, and I mean, it's still a draw. Ultimately, it doesn't really help them, but the context of the game, it's better than clearly losing. I think it's a huge game. Mm-hmm. It's a huge game because Hearts have extended their lead. They need to make sure they get the win because everybody says, oh, Celtic, they're behind, but they've got a game in hand. Yeah, but they've not won it yet. You still need to win it. And that's when I keep saying about Motherwell as well, they're only 10 points off the top, but they've got a game in hand. Well, they need to win it, and that's the case when you've got your game in hand.
Goal difference.
Yeah.
Motherwell's best goal difference. Look at Celtic's goal difference. Could well come down to that.
Aberdeen. It's another terrible season for them.
But it is a game we must all think this. It would be no surprise. Wouldn't surprise any of us if Celtic went up there and drew.
Yeah.
Or even
Aberdeen. Aberdeen for me, they're going to finish in that bottom six. Falkirk, another outstanding result of the weekend as well. No surprise, Kilmarnock struggled to deal with them. Barnley Stewart again on the score sheet, outstanding. But you look at that bottom of the table now as well. Livingston picking up another point. Kilmarnock, you just feel as if John Jules injured now. Where are the goals coming from? Who's going to step up and be?
Is away as well, isn't it? Dackers is away as well.
Yeah. It's
I know he never played, but it's an option until you've lost John Jules.
It's a worry. It's a worry for me for Kilmarnock now. Looking at it,
I worry for what, the bottom or the playoff.
I would be worried now about Livingston.
Would you?
Still got to play them twice, and there is no doubt that Livingston have picked up under Marvin Bartley. They're harder to beat against. Kilmarnock, for that little resurgence they had there. At home, beat Aberdeen, beat St Mirren. You thought, right, okay, put in a really good performance against Celtic. Ended up losing that game, but I feel now the catalyst for that was John Jules. Yeah. I mean, he was outstanding for that period. He's no longer there. They don't have anybody at the top end of the pitch that's saying, right, I'm going to be the man to stand up here and drag you out of the relegation battle. St Mirren, yes, albeit the draw with Livingston at the weekend, but you kind of feel as if, they're more likely to pick up a win somewhere. I know they've been struggling, but I just look at.
I think with St Mirren, they're in danger. They're in danger of being that team that you say too good to go down.
Yeah,
they're in that territory.
Yeah. And I was right about St Mirren.
Yeah,
wasn't I?
No,
you all sort of dismissed. Not a great watch.
I didn't dismiss it.
But you
straight to have.
But you did say that. You did say that before they won a cup.
Look at them now.
Yeah, but you said that before they won a cup.
I just said they weren't a great watch. They won a cup. What Celtic were doing employing that Wilfred Nancy. Dear me, should have left Martin O'Neill in charge. So, yeah, they did. But I thought they'd finish in the top six, and I've been totally wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't know I don't know why they had the drop off, because after you win a cup, surely you'd sort of free up a little bit. Having said that, they got Rangers next, and it's a bit like Celtic going to Aberdeen.
Yeah,
say next in the league. That's not an easy game for Rangers with the stuff about Livingston catching Kilmarnock. I mean, that's just nonsense. No, absolutely. I'd run around Glasgow naked if that happened.
Oh, wow!
I'll tell you what else. I'll drop you off at the start point, and Faddy can pick you up at the airport.
Yeah, but the worry with Kilmarnock. In fairness to Neil, he went in there and did a good job. But just that reaction after the Celtic game, you could hear him sort of screaming through the walls. I'm always wary of the sort of messaging. And in a short space of time, if you go into a club and you fill it players, you're asking these players to go out on the next game and go again. So that would be, a bit of a concern. That's not. I think he's done a brilliant job, Billy Dodds, since they've gone in. In terms of, you did feel there's an upturn, but the weekend would have been a sore one. But that, we've all played in dressing rooms, and that, you know what players are like.
Yeah, this is a big one for me.
You know,
the reaction to this.
Yeah. But when a manager, you know what it's like, when a manager comes for you,
depends who he goes for.
Vociferously, yeah. But when he goes out the door, you know what players are like and what they say.
But it depends who he goes for. Sometimes you've got players that maybe in the dressing room that don't get shouted at. The manager doesn't have a go at them. They feel like they can do what they want.
That's us. We're out of time, and we're finished on that note. The big man running around Glasgow naked. Remember to like and subscribe and never miss an episode of The Warm Up.